Thank you. Thank you, Amir. So we heard how Duda handles web design and web-wide accuracy. But at this point, I wanted to kind of open it up to a panel and invite some other partner of ours who are tackling the same problems at scale and hear how they do that as well. So first, we have Ryan Cantor, AVP at Thrive. From DexYP. Then Jared Turner, CTO and co-founder of Boostability. And Amir, you'll stay here right next to me. Good. So all the companies that are here on stage are building websites at scale, servicing millions of SMBs worldwide. And we're all dealing with these challenges of marrying design, creativity, yet making sure that we do it in a quick and speedy way in order to preserve our margins and keep the efficiency of our teams and make sure that it's simple and easy for the small business. Doing that at the level of scale that you guys are building websites, which as Amir mentioned, is sometimes in the thousands per month, requires infrastructure, requires processes, requires solutions, and a lot of people. So we're going to take some time to discuss that and understand how you do that and what tips do you have for the audience, which a lot of them are kind of tackling the same issues and challenges as they think about scale in their business. So first, let's start with quick introductions. Ryan?
So I'm Ryan, head of product at Thrive. So I oversee all of product development, roadmaps, feature sets, and integrations.
I'm Jared. I'm over the product organization, the developers, the database, and IT at our company. So.
Cool. And Amir, you introduce yourself. So let's jump into the first questions. So you all build websites at scale. How do you balance the need to produce websites quickly via standardized processes while keeping sites looking unique and creative, right? We don't want old plumber sites to have that same image of that plumber leaning over the faucet. So how do you ensure that happens and really keeping the sites fresh and engaging?
Yeah, so I'll start that. First of all, I think you do it with intention, right? You have to, we go into it with a design-first mentality. We retire components, but we don't templatize the look. We templatize maybe the structure. We retire pieces of the structure as they get used, repetitively keep them fresh. We monitor individual designers because obviously there's a human characteristic. People get comfortable, designers get comfortable with different components and will unfortunately kind of overuse them. And so we actually monitor it down to the individual employee, and we'll kind of lock them out of continuing to kind of duplicate the same behaviors over and over again. And then the other piece, I think, which ties directly to your presentation, is we build at the beginning thinking for the future. That the initial design process is only where that begins. That if you think about all the energy everyone in this room puts into your own corporate sites and how much time, energy, A/B testing, Optimizely, Crazy Egg for heat mapping, that's the kind of energy all of you are putting in your corporate websites to keep them optimized and fresh and converting. And so we think about that at the beginning to make sure that in month 2, month 3, year 2, that website can evolve and change in real time.
The biggest thing that we try to do as we start that process of onboarding a customer is giving them an experience, right? They're buying a website, they're buying something that they plan to use for years, as Ryan said. But first and foremost, in order to build that loyalty, to build that trust with that customer, they're buying an experience with you as a vendor. So listening to their voice, bringing them along through the process, giving them design mock-ups, educating them, being a source of expertise that actually gives them that sense of trust and building that relationship early on makes the process along that life cycle a lot simpler.
Yeah, I can add just on top of what Ryan said, that what another trend that we see that many of our customers are using is they're not trying to build templates, but they're really trying to use more flexible design approach. For example, in the Do the platform, we have sections that are popular. So not trying to say, hey, you have 1 of 5 templates and that's how like the design team is building the website, but really mixing and matching small pieces of content that ends up with a more unique website for the SMB customer.
Cool. Talk to me a little bit about efficiencies that you've inserted in the process. If it's either efficiencies that make it easier for the designer, improve their speed, or efficiencies that help reduce the workload for the end small business. Anything interesting to share in that area?
Yeah. I mean, I would actually. Sometimes we on training, right? I'll use the training of a designer. We focus a lot on the mechanics, right? Here's how you move this piece, or here's how you design, or here's what good design looks like. And we've actually put a lot of energy into training on listening skills and empathy. That if we expect a small business owner to ask you specifically what they want, you failed, right? Because they're never going to ask the question exactly the right way or ask for the request. So we have to train them in interpretation, right? What is the client really trying to achieve? Because ultimately, if we try to do exactly what they said, we find that they're amazingly unhappy when they see the final product. So a lot of training and effort has really gone into that, which has really sped up the time to go live.
Yeah, again, that's listening to the customer voice, which is something that's imperative. I mean, we build websites for a variety of different partnerships, and we've had to look very granular at the workflow processes, the iterative steps that go into building a website. And we have time tracking that's implemented on each individual task, and we're able to see and pair what was the client experience based with the operational time that went into the building of the site, and is there a correlation? Certain reps have higher satisfaction, and so really looking at those granular pieces to determine where to make tweaks along the way and where you can let some efficiencies slide because they drive a higher customer experience.
Yeah, I can say that what we hear from many of our customers is when you're talking about efficiency of the process, it's a lot the beginning and the end of the process. So the first part, which is really the data and collecting the data. So things working, partnering with UX and getting the data from an authority source is really helping out. And then the last piece of, we build the websites, but how do you get an efficient feedback loop together with the customer, saying that ensures that one, the customer is very happy, but second, that not a lot of time is being wasted. So we're really working on optimizing those areas as well, and thinking about how we can streamline this feedback process. Something that we are hard working on and we'll release soon.
Yeah, one of the things we use is a product brief. It's a questionnaire of sorts that we walk through the client through in an onboarding phase, and then we iterate on that. So as we come across gotchas or scenarios that cause, customer dissatisfaction, then we'll append and make changes to that brief over its life cycle, which I'm sure Ryan and his team do a very similar thing.
Yeah. Ryan, you guys also have a kind of a product brief.
Yeah, no, we have an entire kind of onboarding experience. I think, as we've alluded to, we just spend a lot of time on what those probing questions should be, and actually much more open-ended questions. I think there's a tendency to kind of try to check boxes and say, which one of these 4 options do you want? And really, we're trying to kind of move that to a much more kind of personalized, interactive experience.
So kind of jumping to another question, share with me a little bit of which UX products do you kind of offer or sell today to your customer base?
Yeah, so UX is integrated with Thrive, and we did that with intention. And I think we heard a little bit about it from the Google My Business chat, and that is we really have identified that while we may very clearly identify that there's a product team and a marketing team and an operations team, small business doesn't work that way. They're a small business. They're just a business. And as long as it continues to be another task that they have to do, they're not going to do it. they're busy, they're running their business. And so what we're really tapping into at Thrive is the ego or the psyche of the small business owner. They're just egocentric enough to make sure that the logo is on the receipt or the invoice that goes out. That's fantastic. They want to put the invoice, the logo on the receipt. So we tap into that, distribute that logo, of course, across the X network. So we're really focused on simplifying that data exchange and making it more real time. And of course, we do review monitoring as well. We are working very closely to integrate knowledge tags and some of the review generation pieces as well.
The primary use case we have with Yext is we partner with a lot of companies that service the SMB crowd. So they will resell our SEO product set, and if it's a local business, it's a perfect pairing to include the Yext portfolio of link locations and the business directories that they propagate their information to, and we're always continually looking at how we can incorporate more of the Yext product set, especially with the latest things around websites and pages and the brain is interesting to me. So we'll continue to iterate on that and see if it makes sense to incorporate that into our website offering.
So Jared, I'll stay with you for this next question, which is kind of SEO related. So the world of SEO, and we know the most important thing for a lot of these small businesses, really how they rank on Google, is a never-ending kind of game. And just kind of want to get your state of the union on SEO. How do you think that has changed over the years, and has that morphed the way the services that you provide or your recommendation to SMBs?
It absolutely has. If you step back, when I first got into the industry, having a website, you were gold, and then you did keyword stuffing, and you would make your keywords the same color as your background, and so they would just see that a whole bunch of keywords were on your page and you were ranking on the first page. Then it became just link spam, right? All these various tactics that kind of, and that's part of the reason why SEO sometimes has a bad rap, is because of the techniques that were used in the past. Some people still advocate or even try those techniques, and they're not continually moving forward with really driving towards the experience that Google and other search platforms want to deliver to the user base. So the place that I see SEO being today is it's around search intent. It's when a person goes and searches on any platform, primarily Google, they're looking to be satisfied for what they're querying. And so if you're wanting to target specific terms or specific phrases for your products or services, you have to start from that. You have to understand what is the intent that drives the behavior on your website that you want, and work backwards to make sure that you're satisfying that both visually with content, and then you have to care for the structure, the actual tagging, the things that the bot will see. I think a lot of times we place a little bit more importance on the Google bot and less importance on the inference that Google has around time on site, bounce rate. They come, they see this website, they go back and click the next one down in the list. All of that information Google is privy to, regardless of whether you have analytics or not. They can actually determine that at a session level, a person leaps to another site. And so they can extrapolate the user experience at a very granular level, and they can determine who deserves to be on the first page. And if you're caring for that, you're looking at that, and you're actually picking terms and targeted phrases for those customers, then you're going to be filling the need that Google has of user experience and the website itself, and so it'll be a mutually beneficial transaction.
Amir, Ryan, anything to add?
Yeah, so this will be the contentious part of the program.
That's why we invite you.
Yeah, that's why you invite me, right? I think anyone who looks at the first page of Google on a search result page and has watched that morph over time, the organic rankings obviously are pretty far scroll. And I think independently, as you start thinking about this from a consumer behavior, if you are the first link and you click on it and you can't make an appointment off hours, or you can't chat, or you can't engage with that small business owner, the first ranking on that page was pretty worthless, because they're going to click back and go to the next one anyways. When you look at things like Google Reserve and being able to take action higher up in the page, structured data to make sure that information is accurate. I really think ultimately, voice search doesn't return you a list of websites; it gives you an answer. And as you see the market move that way, it's going to have to change the way we think about SEO optimization and getting small businesses in front of the right consumers at the right time. So I think it's going to challenge us all to think very hard and fast about the recommendations we make to small businesses, and it is going to force them to push themselves. Because what I've just outlined is an entire organization of a business. It's not a simple solution of, I can build a website and do some SEO. It requires you to think a little bit differently about how you structure your company, and about what services you provide, and are you easy to do business with, and are you organized in the right way so that the right data is going to the right player at the right time. So ultimately, that's where I think we're going.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. I think SEO of today is much more than the website. And when we just, we all search and we see how much Google result we see beyond just the links, right? The reviews, the Google posts, the Google My Business information. And I think for SMBs today, SEO is really holistically thinking about all the different things that are going on, and having the structured data to feed all those offerings, and maybe use the website as a source to actually generate some of this content. For example, use the website to generate good reviews that will show up on Google My Business and stuff like that. So it's a much more complex world today when it comes to SEO.
So actually, that's a good lead way to the next question. Definitely since I started Duda, I've been hearing kind of the same question of, what's the future of websites? Will they always be there? Will they be replaced eventually by, any of the following lists? Google My Business, Google search results, Facebook business pages. What's your view on kind of the future of websites? Are they here to stay, or will they eventually be replaced?
I think they're here to stay. I think their role will completely change. And I think as humans, we're predispositioned, right, to conserve calories. I heard that recently in a talk, that our entire purpose in life is to consume information in the easiest way possible. And if we were true about that, and you think about the consumer experience, I think, again, as the Google My Business Fireside Chat talked about, it would actually be much easier for everybody if an appointment booking button was actually in the exact same place on everyone's website. That if you went to the same website every single time, it would be a better consumer experience if you knew exactly whether they accept appointments instantly or not. You didn't browse, you didn't have to search, you didn't have to hunt. And yet, we're talking about design first and making them unique, and those two things are obviously at odds. So when you think about Google My Business, they put the Book Now button in the same place on every single one of them. They're doing that for a reason. It becomes very easy from a consumer experience. So I do think that websites are here to stay, but I think, as we've alluded to, I think that is where a consumer will engage with that small business owner, absolutely, learn to get more information, but it will really be there to serve up information to be ingested through other mediums that are standardizing them and allowing consumers to digest that information using the tools that they prefer, not that the small business prefers. So.
Yeah, you used to be able to cast a really wide net with a website, and then ranking used to be site specific, then it became page specific, and now it's even content specific. And so there's this narrowing of the field where you have a more savvy searcher and you have to have a more savvy experience on the other end. And it has to satisfy that intent, whether it's through a button being in the same place, or just you have hyper-specific content related to what the person searched for. So I see websites actually becoming more complex and more granular, but satisfying in a immediate gratification, because that's the society we live in today, and it's ever increasing. That people just want to have their search intent satisfied as quickly as possible. And so if that's the goal and that's the mindset that you actually tackle the problem with, then I think that you'll be right in line with the major providers that are doing the same.
Amir, your unbiased opinion?
Yeah, I surely hope it won't go away. No, but seriously speaking, I think that there are a few things about it. Definitely, there are lots of changes and things will change. If let's say Google was relying on website to get the information so it can display it, it might be not needing it for displaying information in the future and will get it directly from Yext or from other sources. This is true. On the other hand, I think website is still today like the only place where an SMB really owns on the internet, right? The Google My Business, it's not really the SMB, it's more Google, right? And they can change it any day. And what the SMB can do, it is very restricted. So I think just the ownership thing of this is mine, this is my domain. I can design it as much as I want. I can do A/B test as much as I want. I can personalize it the way that I want. I think it's very powerful that I don't see it going away so quickly, definitely. And I do think that like websites will need to be more sophisticated. So I do see SMBs websites becoming what we see today on more kind of, let's say, like enterprise websites in terms of the applications that are running inside the websites, what the website can do. If this is like, transactions and appointments and management of profile and personalization and stuff like that we are all used to do on like, complex websites like Amazon, I see them like, becoming a necessity also for SMBs websites. So consumers have actually a good reason to go to and get much more value than just like using the search result or Google My Business or Facebook pages.
Good. So kind of last question here. Anything that you're really excited about that you see kind of any trend or, some exciting technology that you want to share?
I do. I think the continued evolution of the integrations and obviously the announcement today from you guys as well. We don't update our websites maybe as often as we should, and we know that small businesses don't either. And being able to, again, use integrations to make it so that it is a simple task for them. If you're accepting appointments, then the system automatically knows whether you're open on Christmas or not. Being able then to send that out via the Yext network, update your website, update your scheduler, do those types of things in a very easy way and really tap into what a small business wants to do, and then we can architect products to kind of facilitate those. I get really excited about those types of automations and things that we can do that still gives them the feeling that they're in control of their business, that they're driving it, it's not being driven for them, but making those tasks a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, the only thing I would mention is we don't have a specific product per se, but it relates to what Megan said earlier from Google. It's around engagement. There are multiple products that we're working on currently and vetting out as that all have to do with engagement, and a lot of it at a transactional level. So, kind of more to come.
Amir?
Yeah, I'm excited about like a lot of things. I think a lot about like the automation piece of websites and really bring like technology that will help like build unique websites in an easier way. So that's one thing. I think what I said about like allowing small businesses to have like enterprise-grade websites in an easy way. So this is like what we always wanted to do to bring like down the complexity. So this is also very exciting. And also like, the new design trends and the mobile-first approach that is happening with website, which is also very exciting.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.